Hey guys, it's Suresh. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning into another video with me today. Well, I have a fun bonus video for you guys. You have been asking for update videos, so I finally got around to doing one. So last week we took a look at this gorgeous doll. She is the 50th anniversary Barbie that came out 9 years ago, and she's so beautiful. I just think she's so gorgeous and so golden. But you know, as we talked about in my previous video, there's a lot of little things that I want to update on her. Her shoes, for starters, are just heinous. These are so gross. I don't love these, so we're going to change those out. And then we really need to give this gown a press, especially back here. These little ruffles and things are just so flattened out from her sitting in the box for so long. So we're going to take a look at that. And we're going to definitely give her a manicure and a pedicure. And she's going to look like this when we are all done. Subtle differences. You might not be able to tell it right away, but look at the gown. Look at her nails. We gave her a clutch. We also gave her some lashes and a blowout to get rid of all that gross stuff in her hair. I love the way she ended up looking. Just small little beautiful details, you know. So let's get started. All right, right here I have a plain bowl of water, and then here I have a bowl of water with a little bit of baby shampoo in it. We're gonna start with her hair. I don't know if she has glue in her hair or in her head, so I'm hesitant to use any sort of shampoo that's too moisturizing because I've noticed that it can make the hair really greasy and really gross. So let's go ahead and get started. I thought instead of taking you guys to my kitchen sink like I usually do, we would try this method instead. So just saturating the hair really well with water. There really is no glue and stuff in it, or no gel, I mean, which is always good. So it's relatively easy to saturate pretty well. And then we will put her into this bowl of hair shampoo and just work through those curls. I just really want to get as much of this frizz off as possible. I don't know why, but her hair just feels really frizzy and really staticky. So my goal with this is to make it silky again and really make those highlights and lowlights stand out. All right, so after a good little scrub in the shampoo, we're gonna go back and rinse, get all of it off, and then we're gonna dry and just get as much of that water out of there as possible. I don't do a very rigorous rub. I try to be as gentle as possible. And then a little bit of conditioner, my favorite Jason conditioner. I use a really small amount and I'm focusing it on the bottom like half of her hair. I'm really trying to not let it touch the head because again, I don't know if there's glue in her head, and if there is, that additional moisture is disastrous. So once we have really worked that through into the hair, I'm going to go ahead and rinse it off. I really like to run my fingers through the hair and separate all of those curls and just make sure that everything is feeling nice and smooth and as tangle-free as possible. And then after a good rinse, we're gonna take her out, get rid of all that excess water, and then dry her off, just like so. And I like to then go ahead with my little trusty comb. I think you guys have seen this comb before in my other videos. Very gently comb through the hair. I don't pull and tug too much. And then we introduce the hair dryer. So I like to give her a little bit of a comb as we're blow drying here. And that way I find that I can have a little bit more control and soften a little bit of that kinky curl if there is any of that, and that also helps it keep it relatively tangle free. So here we go. We can already see that the hair is just looking brighter. The blonde is looking more blonde. The caramels are looking more caramelly. Love it. I mean, her hair really is so soft and so pretty. I just don't know the quality on some of the saran that they use in these big production dolls are that great. So my little trick of using moisturizer, here we go. I left the moisturizer out so that you guys can see what the brand is, because so many of you asked me in my last hair video what brand of moisturizer I was using. So there it is. I just kind of treat it like hair gel and just comb it through the hair, and voila. All right, let's get a little mani-pedi action going on here. All right, I got a little bit of magenta, white, and black. I have a link down below to all these acrylic paints that I'm using, including this Liquitex, which is what I use to seal and prime the surface. So with a little flat-tipped nylon brush, I'm going to go ahead and paint a little bit of the gloss medium on her toenails. That way, when the paint goes on, the paint has something to grab onto. This is very much like a nail primer on humans. And we're going to do a little bit of this magenta here. I'm trying to match the lips. So what I'm going to do is mix a little bit of the black in there, kind of deepen that color. As you guys know or may not know, white and black are not colors in the spectrum of the color wheel. They're shades and tints. Black obviously makes a color darker and deeper and richer. White makes it brighter and lighter. So what I'm trying to do is get to a color that's as close to her lip color as possible. And it just takes a little bit of mixing. By the way, I'm using a really thin nylon pointed brush to paint here. Again, links are down below. And then we get started. I start with her pedicure. I just sort of let the brush do the work, and very similar to makeup application, just sort of being careful, being mindful of how much paint is on the tip, and then just sort of resting it into place. And see, it's not that hard, you guys. Some of you had actually asked if I used real nail polish, and I have in the past, but it actually chips off the vinyl of Barbie very easily, and it's not so good for the vinyl composition. So acrylic paint is really the best way to go. It just takes a little bit of time, but not too hard. And her the indent of her nail is actually already on there. So all you have to do is just pay attention and fill it in. I do have a magnifying glass that I would use for I guess more detailed work, but this isn't so bad, so I'm not using that. And then again, with that flat tip brush and the gloss medium, we're gonna go on top of the manicure and pedicure once it's dry, and just kind of do a little light coating of that. And that will make sure that it stays put and will not move and get nice and shiny. Okay, on to some lashes. So I'm using this glue here. Again, link is down below. It's a fabric glue that I use for like bejeweling dresses and gowns and stuff. I'm not using the silicone eyelash glue that would usually come with this because I don't want it to interact with the vinyl. So I'm using some MAC cluster lashes here. Link is down below to this. It comes in a whole plethora of sizes, and I'm gonna go ahead and choose a nice medium length because the way that we're gonna lay this on her eye is it's gonna kind of follow the arc of her eye. So starting off with her left eye, get a little bit of glue on the side of that lash, and just go ahead and kind of follow her natural wing and shape of the eye and set it into place. Ta-da! I know it seems way easier than it probably is. There was a little bit of zhuzhing here and there off camera, but yeah, it's really not that hard, you guys. I'm using a pair of Anastasia tweezers to do this, and I'm setting the lash about halfway out her eye. So right above the pupil of her eyes where I'm placing it. And if you feel that you got a little bit too much glue, although this glue does dry clear, you can just kind of pick off that excess from the little cluster point of the lashes, and ta-da! How gorgeous, right? It's not like a huge noticeable difference, but it definitely is there and makes the lash line thicker. Okay, onto her gown. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut the two little stitch points that are holding this big, beautiful train bustle onto the gown. That way we can kind of isolate each piece and really press each piece well. I'm starting off with the gold lame column here, and I'm using very low synthetic setting heat. And generally I would do a test with the pressing cloth, but I know gold lame really well. It's not as delicate as it seems. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press this trumpet portion of the dress down. The back specifically was flaring up because of the way that it was in the box, you know? So I really am kind of using light heat, but firm pressure. There's no steam on this. So press, press, press. I'm also pressing the seams open, and I find that that will help lay them down nicer and give the dress a more finished pressed look. All right, moving on to the ruffles here. So there are tiers and tiers of ruffles, and I'm using a pressing cloth to start off with just to kind of test this tool out. There is a little bit of glue on here, which is what is holding this glitter in place. So the big concern is I didn't want to melt any of that glue, which would then get on my iron and make the fabric gross. So again, I'm using a synthetic low setting and just sort of zhuzhing it back and forth to see how it's working. And ooh, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead now directly with the iron. The key is not to keep the iron on any one portion of the fabric for too long, because that is when you will start to interact and melt that glue, and that gets gross and messy. So after I went ahead and ironed this whole ruffle, I then divided it out, and look at that, a flufferama, right? Super cute, love it. So let's go ahead and now get the second layer. I'm using the edge of the ironing board to really manipulate that portion of the gown and get in there. Someone asked me recently why ironing boards are shaped the way they are, and it's actually for this specific reason. So anyway, yeah, this is the final look. After you do layers 2 and 3, you separate them out, and look how gorgeous. Oh my goodness, I love, love, love. So we gave her a gold little clutch to go with this beautiful gown, because I just felt like she had to be holding something, you know? There's her manicure, love it. I love the way the hair turned out. I feel like it's natural and beautiful. I love the lashes. It just provides a little bit of darkness and depth in the lash line, which I love. Oh, you guys, I'm so happy with this. Oh, we also gave her some new shoes. Some glittery peep toe pumps that I think go much better with this, and shows off her new pedicure. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope that you learned something. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon. Come back again next week for another video. Ooh, actually no, come back this week. I have one coming up on Thursday. Wherever you guys are in the world, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Big hugs and kisses from me in New York, and Barbie sends you love as well. And I will see you guys again in a few days, okay? Bye.